live from an undisclosed location.
And the next day I said, what did the paper say? They said, he invaded her space. I invaded her space. Believe me, the last space that I want to invade is her space. Believe me. I don't want to invade her space. The corporate media can't report on the establishment because the corporate media is the establishment, such a big part of it.
Unchained and unstoppable.
What do we see as the really, smoking guns, if you will, in these emails? It is an incredible, rich narrative of what was going on inside the campaign.
In terms of a smoking gun, we haven't really seen one.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Focus on defeating Hillary. I would say to every Republican in the country, focus on defeating. You don't have to focus on Trump.
Well, but on that point, we had a former Kasich advisor on in the 6 o'clock hour. He said the election's over. Donald Trump won't win. That's what he said. What do you say to that?
I would say that he helped Kasich get to carry one state. I love advisors who don't have a clue about America.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
So here I am, Howie Carr. I'm beginning my Newsmax hour, and I'm getting a haircut here from Terry, the woman from Haircuts Limited, and we're doing this. It's great. People are asking in the first hour on the radio show. They seeing it on the Howie Cam. They say, "Did you tip Terry?" I tipped you, right, Terry?
You did.
No, the mailroom manager tipped her.
I tipped Terry, and Terry's doing a great job. She's trimming my hair. I'm going to be in great shape for the Pumpkin Fest in Swansea, New Hampshire on Saturday. You're doing a great job, Terry. This is really good. We're going to keep going for a little while here, and she, when she finishes up, we'll take off the cape, and then I'll put on a tie during the first break, and everything will be back to normal. But thank you, thanks for joining us here. And again, live TV is really wonderful. I always like live TV. But welcome to the Howie Carr Show. If you'd like to join us, the toll-free number is 1-844-500-4242, 1-844-500-4242. And wherever you are, you can order a gift certificate here, the Cheap Bastards deal at thehowiecarrshow.com. Click on deals, and you can get a $16.95 gift certificate to Haircuts Limited. For $8.48. It's a great deal, no matter where you are in the United States of America. But anyway, we're going to talk about Donald Trump and his latest travails, and you know what happened. The story broke about 7 o'clock last night, just as we were leaving the air here on the radio show. The New York Times has got two women saying that they were harassed. If you or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I don't even know if you call it harassment. It's just the stories are crazy here. And one of them is a woman who's 74. She's a big Clinton supporter, and she claims that she was on a business trip in 1980, and I guess she had, I don't know if she had frequent flyer miles or what, but she decided to they moved her up to first class, and she was sitting next to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump pushed up the seat divider in first class and began groping her. And she went back to tourist class or coach class, whatever you want to call it, and didn't tell anybody until recently. So again, the statute of limitations had expired more than somewhat, considering it was 36 years ago. And now people are saying that they don't really know what was they're not sure if they believe the story or not, because the first class seating, you can't really pull up the armrest because it's part of the food tray. I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't think it is true, based on some of the pictures I'm seeing on Twitter of first class seating in the 20s. I mean, in the 70s and the 80s. It looks. I don't think that is universal. There might have been some first class seats where that was the case, but I don't think that's a really good line.
So the other woman is she's in her 30s, and she in 2005 she worked at Trump Tower for a company that rented space in Trump Tower. When she didn't work for Trump, and he met her outside and he gave her a kiss, and then he came by where she worked and he asked for her phone number because he said he was going to get her some modeling work. Now I'm ready for some modeling work now that I've got this new haircut. It's very good, Terry. You did a great job. It's very good. I appreciate it. Thank you. It looks a lot better.
Still a little long on the top.
No, I don't need any more. I don't. This is difficult for me to even be this close to some scissors around my ears after all this. After what happened to me in July, but I'm all set now, and I'm looking good, I think. So anyway, the other woman, she was in her 20s, and her story is somewhat more believable because she's got her ex-boyfriend who says that she came home that night to their place in New York City, and it was her first job out of college, and she was crying, and she called her sister. So there's the accounts are somewhat more contemporaneous than this woman who's now in her 70s who claims that she was groped on the airline flight. But again, as I mentioned in the last hour, the New York Times has done this stuff before. They did it to John McCain in 2008. They said that he was having an affair. Basically what they said was he was having an affair with a lobbyist who was 30 years younger than him. And the lobbyist sued. John McCain couldn't really sue because he was a public figure for his entire life, basically, since he was a POW. He was a congressman and then a senator, presidential candidate. He couldn't sue, but the lobbyist sued the New York Times in December of 2008, and in February 2009, the New York Times settled it without an admission of guilt. No money changed hands, but they did have a note to readers. Have we posted the note to readers? Steve, let's post the note to readers. This is something people should see. This is the way the New York Times operates. Front page story to dust up a Republican candidate for president in the midst of the primary campaign. This is even worse, obviously. And then exactly a year later, a note to readers. The article did not state, and the Times did not intend to conclude, that Ms. Eisman, that's her name, Vicky Eisman, had engaged in a romantic affair with Senator McCain or an unethical relationship on behalf of her clients in breach of the public trust. Really? They did not. They did not state, nor did they intend for the readers to conclude. Well, I'll let you be the judge of that when you read the story. And I'm going to read it to you as we go along here this afternoon. But I don't know what else you're supposed to conclude after you read the story. And again, this is and if it hadn't been Donald Trump, whoever the candidate was. I mean, look, they did it to Herman Cain in 2012. They said he was touching everything but the third rail when he was running at the top of the Republican polls. When Mitt Romney became the nominee, they said that he was mean to dogs, that he was mean to women, he was mean to the spouses of his employees when he was running Bain Capital. They said that he had binders full of women. He was trying to say that he would hire more women, and they turned it around and made it seem like he was denigrating women. And they said that, and going back to McCain in 2008, remember that? He had the Straight Talk Express. That was his bus. And all the reporters loved the Straight Talk Express when John McCain was knocking out other Republicans in 2008 on the presidential primaries. But once he was selected as the Republican nominee, the Straight Talk Express, you remember what it turned into? It turned into the Straight Jacket Express. That's what they called it, the Straight Jacket Express. Like he was nuts, like he was out of control. And so this is the way it operates. So don't lose any sleep saying, if only we had nominated Ted Cruz. Remember that guy that was Ted Cruz's roommate at Princeton that was always tweeting out about what a nut he was? He would be on the front page of the New York Times right now if Ted Cruz were the nominee. Do you believe me? There's no doubt about it. And whoever the candidate was, if it was Rick Perry, remember Rick Perry? Rick Perry, his family was renting a place, this vacation spot out in Texas. And someone had spray painted the N-word on the rock outside the place. Remember that? That was the scandal du jour too. I mean, whatever Republican seems to be raising his head above the water, the media, especially the New York Times and the other dying broadsheets, will try to take him out.
Just look at Marco Rubio. Remember his luxury speedboat and his wife's trafficker speed tickets.
Right,
those were the hit pieces on him.
His luxury speedboat. It was like a $60,000 or $70,000 boat. It was a fishing boat. He lives in South Florida. Half the population, of which I'm not part of, has a fishing boat, and they called it a luxury speedboat. I remember that. The editor who was defending it, she was another former Boston Herald employee. Somebody, I know all these people, it seems like. I know her better than I know Marco. But yeah, Marco, and then Marco was arrested. He was having a beer when he was 18. He was having a beer. Yeah, well, he's 18. A lot of people were having beers when they were 18. He was in a park where gay people congregate. Again, there's none of this celebration of diversity when it comes to a Republican. If you can make aspersions on someone's sexuality and they're a Republican, it's all's fair. It's okay. And if it had been, I don't know, just pick one of these guys. Carly Fiorina, she got dusted up too. Remember, she laid off all these people. She brought in all the H-1Bs. Hillary Clinton, the world's worst human being. She just gets a pass here, other than WikiLeaks. She nothing going on with her. And by the way, her husband rapes people, but those aren't rapes; those are infidelities. And don't you forget it. Heidi, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Heidi, on the General Communications listener line. Go ahead, Heidi.
Yeah, hi. I have been originally. I saw an hour-long interview with Trump.
Yeah.
And it was a rational interview where he gave his viewpoints, and I liked all of them. But ever since then, he has stuck his foot in his mouth so many times. I just couldn't bring myself to support him. And then they come out with these women who supposedly have suffered, and there's been no hint of it for the last 50 years. And suddenly he's this aggressive, sexual, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, the enemy of my enemies must be my friend.
Right. I mean, that's all you have to remember, Heidi. That sums it up perfectly. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I mean, who are you going to do worse under? A Hillary Clinton administration or a Donald Trump administration? If you're an average American who goes to work every day and tries to play by the rules and pay taxes and goes to church and doesn't want to be hassled by an authoritarian government, there's only one vote here. Whatever you think of Donald Trump, whether you believe these latest stories or not. Thanks for the call, Heidi. This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Liquor and More, with 5 locations, including South Yarmouth. Liquor and More, a proud supporter of life's memorable moments. I'm Howie Carr.
That's right, Howie Carr.